All right, so going to be talking about another comic that was sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again, brother. And yeah, we're going to be talking about SteelWorks. This is from DC Comics. This was part of their new. There was an era like with Action Comics where they were like with Philip Kennedy Johnson, and they're still kind of doing this, where they were like doing a new like Age of Superman family, and this was actually going to be part. This was actually part of that big relaunch, and it was kind of it was pretty integral to a lot of the DC books that were coming out. So that was kind of the big, that was the big thing. And the other thing that really made it important was that Michael Dorn was writing this, who most of you would know best as Worf from Star Trek Next Generation, but he was also the voice of John Henry Irons in the Superman 90s cartoon. So it was really cool to see see John Henry get that voice from a actual voice actor. And on top of that, Dorn has written novels before. I think he's done several Star Trek novels. I know he's done like several sci-fi novels in general. So he is a writer. It's not like, they just got, Dorn, it was just like, I know it was probably let's not kid ourselves. There probably was a lot of marketing in there. There was probably like a lot of marketing that went into this. But the big thing was that Dorn didn't need, it wasn't just that they had Michael Dorn's name to it. It was also that he was a credible writer. It wasn't just like, just getting an actor or someone like that. Because I have seen multiple times where you've had writers who are celebrities and they just come on and it's like they have a co-writer with them, and I'm like, I don't know how much of this is you or them. I have seen an influx of celebrities who are doing more writing on their own. Like, perfect example is David Desmelchin, who is now writing this series for Image called Knights vs. Samurai, and he's actually writing a DC Creature Commandos book that is not inspired by the James Gunn TV show. I actually would really love to read that in trade when it comes out, his Creature Commandos book. So David Desmelchin's been doing a lot of comics. He did Count Crowley. There's also like a lot of actors who have who was it? The actress who played Kamala Khan. She does a lot of the writing for the Kamala Khan books that tie her into being an X-Men now. So yeah, she does have a co-writer, but it's very clear that she was the one writing those books. Like she was the one writing those books. She was like, she had done interviews like, yeah, this is my writing I'm like, okay, but I think we could all agree there have been times where it's like, all right, how much of this is you and how much is your co-writer, or were you just the planning guy? Kind of like with Brian Posehn when he was doing his Deadpool run. And I'm sorry I'm harping on this. I just feel like this is this would be one of my few times where I get to talk about this, where like Brian Posehn, he basically was an idea guy, and Jerry Duggan did the writing. So it's kind of like that. Anyway, so that was where was I going? Oh, right. So that's been kind of the thing. That's I never get to address something like that, so I'm sorry I spent a good almost 4 minutes talking about the damn thing. But I was like, I'm never going to be able to talk about my thoughts on it and have just share that. But here we go. So the comic is a miniseries that is basically about John Henry Irons, and his niece Natasha, basically building a new group called SteelWorks that is going to be kind of like the damage control for Metropolis. You see, currently in the comics, Luthor's still in jail, and there's kind of a power grab in the stock market in Metropolis to get new deals and whatnot, and John wants to be the head of that. He wants to get the corner the market because he actually wants to do it for the people, as opposed to all these other companies that want to just do it for we're doing this for the money and solely for the money. So that's his. It's a lot of that. It is basically John Henry and Steel and Natasha basically building this this corporation, and they're basically talking about building building SteelWorks, kind of like working with Superman. But at the same time, there's also an unknown threat in the form of a Superman villain. I'm not going to say who it is, but you might figure it out. Who's trying to crash the party. So, yeah. What I like about this book, there are some things I like about this book, because at the end of the day, I feel like Dorn was not the right pick for this, because he's more of a novel writer, and from what I understand from his novels is that he's more dialogue heavy, and he's more of a slow burn kind of guy, and while that does work for a lot of comics, I mean, Bendis made a killing in Daredevil for being a slow burn kind of guy. It doesn't work for a lot of people, you know. And this comic is 6 issues long. I do remember it was meant to be it was said to be an ongoing. I distinctly remember it was meant to be an ongoing. And the comic really does take a while to get going. And it's only 6 or 8 issues of this book. Keep that in mind, is that this book basically, like, is just, you know, plodding along. And I'm like, Mike, Dorn, come on, dude. You know, make like Worf and Warp Factor 3 this shit. It was very slow. Also, I didn't realize this, but John and Lana Lang are married now, which I was like, okay, not a pairing I would expect, but I like it. I do like their chemistry. I wasn't aware that John Henry and Lana were in a thing, so it was kind of cool to see those two, be a couple and get married. Yeah. I think my problem is just the pacing. That's my biggest issue with the pacing, and also it really does feel like, you know, the corporate espionage thing, and, you know, just, you know, office talk and everything else with it. I'm just kind of like, this is why I don't read a lot of Iron Man. Like, I'm just reminded. I mean, I did like the Invincible Iron Man, the first volume I read of Gary Duggan's, because it ties in with X-Men, and I am curious about the new Iron Man book that's coming out. The one where he's at war with Roxxon and he's got this clockwork armor and everything. But at the same time, it's like, this comic is a reminder of why I don't like reading a lot of Iron Man, because this just feels like and I know what they're trying to do. I understand that they're trying to make Steel like DC's Iron Man. I'm well aware. But, like, there's so much. Dorn spends a lot of time talking about, like, office stuff and stuff you just don't care about. And I'm just like, come on, man. This is why it did turn out to be an ongoing now, was it? Anyway. So, yeah. It's not bad. I just feel like it's very move the car, George, to pen a phrase from Comic Pop. So, if you are it is cool to see Steel get the spotlight, but I just feel like Dorn kinda just move the cart just ever so slowly until the end, and even then it felt like a slog. So, yeah. The artwork is really great. I will say that. The artwork is really great, by Sam Basari and Vincent Quifuentes and Max Rayner. I know I butchered those names. I'm sorry. But the artwork's really solid on their part. The 3-part prologue to the story in Action Comics, that didn't feel like... You can clearly see there were 2 different writers on that 3-part Action Comics storyline, because, like, there's just dialogue in here where I'm like, John would never say that. John would never talk like he's talking very, like, Hood, and even calls himself from the Hood, and I'm like, John never was like that. Like, there was no point where John was like, I remember my roots, but I don't talk like a gangster. Like, I remember comics like that. So I just feel like they kind of, like, the writer just didn't know how to write him, and also there's an unnecessary fight dick measuring contest between him and Mr. Terrific. Anyway, so I just think this was okay. Did I hate it? No. And I do like the idea of maybe Michael Dorn coming back to doing more DC books. Just maybe, push the story along, dude. Maybe also do, like, some Action Comic backups first before they give you a full one. Anyway, so that's my review of SteelWorks. You guys tell me in the comments below what you guys think of it if you've read it. Chris, thank you once again for the book. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.